Hello there you guys, welcome to another of my videos. Ralf Rangnick's Man United move could be delayed until mid-December due to the work permit issues. Rangnick will not be in charge for the game against Arsenal tomorrow night, but I'm hearing that he will be in the stands. Earlier on this week, Ralf Rangnick got announced as Manchester United's interim manager until the end of the season. Then after, Rangnick will continue in a consultancy role for a further 2 years. Before Manchester United, Rangnick was the head of sports and development at Lokomotiv Moscow. Ralf Rangnick wants Amadou Haidara in January. Amadou Haidara is valued at around £33 million. Well, Rangnick knows the player well because Rangnick used to coach RB Leipzig. Rangnick will be given a transfer budget in January. Now I want to give you some news on Roberto Mancini. So Manchester United consider hiring Roberto Mancini instead of Mauricio Pochettino. Mancini is the coach for Italy. He's been in charge of Italy since 2018. He's got a contract with Italy until 2026. He won the European Championship with them last summer. Around a decade ago, Roberto Mancini managed Manchester City. And when he was at Man City, he won the Premier League, he won the FA Cup, and he also won the Charity Shield. Manchester United will get a permanent manager at the end of the season. I have been talking with you a lot about Pochettino. Revert back to the other week, Pochettino came out and said that he's happy at PSG and he won't let the Man United rumours distract him. And the other week, PSG rejected Manchester United's approach to appoint Mauricio Pochettino. But the other week, Pochettino did say that he's interested in the Manchester United job. And the Manchester Evening News came out and said that Man United are confident of appointing Mauricio Pochettino as their next permanent manager. And he said Man United agreed to pay the £10 million compensation fee for Pochettino. Pochettino is a good manager, even though he's hardly won anything. I think he has won a cup with PSG. He's got a full season left on his PSG contract. He's proven in the Premier League as well because he managed Tottenham and Southampton before. Revert back to when Manchester United sacked Jose Mourinho. Man United should have got Pochettino, but obviously the club decided to go with Solskjaer instead. Not so long ago, there was reports coming out about Erik ten Hag saying that Erik ten Hag is said to be interested in the Manchester United job in the summer. And Ajax will not stand in his way if he wants to leave at the end of the season. Revert back to what it said not so long ago that Erik ten Hag is Manchester United's alternative target to Pochettino. you've got to admire what Ten Hag has done at Ajax. He's won a few trophies with them. I like the way he develops young players. He's been at Ajax for around 4 years. He's got a contract with them until 2023. Just over a week ago, Manchester United sacked Ole Gunnar Solskjaer following the 4-1 defeat to Watford. And as you all know, Solskjaer gave a farewell interview. And he got emotional in the farewell interview, which was obviously understandable because Solskjaer adores the club. You know, Solskjaer was part of the club for a long time. He was Manchester United manager for almost 3 years, and Solskjaer did endure 11 years as a player for Man United. So that's almost 14 years in total. Despite Manchester United sacking Solskjaer just over a week ago, all Manchester United fans still adore him, reflecting on what he did for the club. You know, Solskjaer is a club legend. He will always be a club legend. Solskjaer was a great player for Manchester United. He endured 11 years as a player. He flourished under Ferguson's guidance. Ole's most iconic moment when he was a player was when he scored the winning goal in the Champions League final at the Nou Camp back in 1999, because Solskjaer won the club the treble, and that is the club's greatest achievement. Ole had a proven pedigree when he was a United player, but unfortunately didn't have a proven pedigree as a manager. The club Solskjaer has managed in his managerial career, he managed Manchester United's reserve team for a couple of years. He managed Molde. He endured 2 spells at Molde. He won a few Norwegian titles with them, but they're not a big club. He also managed Cardiff. His record at Cardiff was terrible. He got sacked from Cardiff because he got them relegated, and he managed Manchester United's senior squad. Manchester United paid Solskjaer around $7.5 million. Because revert back to last summer, he signed a 3-year contract with an option of a further year. Manchester United should have never give Solskjaer that contract. Because I knew for a long time that Solskjaer was not the long-term manager for Man United. You know, this season was Solskjaer's 3rd full season as United manager. And I did say at the start of this season when he was United manager that this season was going to be big for him. And obviously the pressure was on him at the start of this season, reflecting on the summer transfer window Manchester United had. Man United enjoyed a very good summer transfer window this year, made 4 signings. 3 of the 4 signings were major signings, and must have spent around £141 million last summer. Plus, revert back to last summer when Solskjaer was United manager, he got very good backing from the board. You know, the Glazers backed him, Ed Woodward backed him, our director of football, John Murtaugh, backed him, and Darren Fletcher backed him. So obviously Solskjaer ran out of excuses. Solskjaer did not win a trophy when he was United manager, and he was not capable of winning trophies as a manager. You know, Man United have not won a trophy since 2017. You know, the expectations were far too high for Solskjaer to exceed as United manager. And Solskjaer was in a position that he should have never really been in. Don't get him wrong, you know, revert back to the last few months under Solskjaer. You know, the performances were very poor. But reflecting on the poor performances, not all of the blame stemmed from Solskjaer. Obviously, Solskjaer was accountable for some things. His tactics and his team selections were questioned a lot, but there was also players that had to take responsibility for those poor performances as well. Ollie knew when he got appointed in as United manager that it was going to be a massive job, not only a massive job, a difficult job as well. Despite Ollie knowing the club through thick and thin, Ollie was managing one of the biggest clubs in the world. Solskjaer did get appointed in December 2018 as the interim manager. Solskjaer was the interim manager for 3 months. He did well as the interim manager, so the club decided to give him the job on a permanent basis back in March 2019. Solskjaer was the 4th permanent manager to be sacked since Ferguson. Man United have sacked Moyes. We sacked David Moyes after 10 months. Man United finished 7th under the David Moyes era. Moyes is one of the worst managers we've ever had. Then, of course, Manchester United sacked Louis van Gaal after 2 years. We did win the FA Cup under him. And then Manchester United sacked Jose Mourinho after 2.5 years. Mourinho did enjoy one good season at Man United because he won 3 trophies in his first season. And of course, just over a week ago, Manchester United sacked Solskjaer. Manchester United are going to offload players next year. I think next year Dean Henderson is going out on loan. Well, Henderson's already confirmed that he wants to go out on loan. Henderson doesn't get in goal now, does he? Because, De Gea reclaimed that number 1 spot back last summer. Henderson's only been in goal for 1 game so far this season. That was West Ham in the Cup. At one point, Henderson was out with COVID for a while. At one point last season, though, Henderson got the number 1 jersey, and he did well in a lot of the games he was in goal for last season. Revert back to the start of last season, Henderson signed a 6-year contract with Man United, so reflecting on that, he committed his future to the club. Henderson's already got that experience behind him because he enjoyed 2 successful loans with Sheffield. He's also had other loan spells before. Dalot, I think he's also leaving the club next year. Dalot doesn't really get in the team, does he? No, Dalot will only play when Aaron Wan-Bissaka is not available. Dalot's our backup right back to Bissaka. Don't get me wrong, in some of the games Dalot's been involved in, he's done well. Last season Dalot was out on loan with AC Milan, so reflecting on that, he gained some experience. We got Dalot around 3 years ago from Porto, paid around £19 million for him. He's got a contract with Man United until 2023. Bailly, I think there's a good chance that he's leaving next year because Bailly doesn't get regular game time. Bailly's only made 4 appearances so far this season. Bailly played last Sunday against Chelsea, put a very good performance out. Could keep his place against Arsenal tomorrow, even though Harry Maguire is back from suspension. Maguire played in the 2-0 defeat to Man City. He was very poor in that one. He played in the 2-2 draw against Atalanta. Bailly was very good in that one, and he played against West Ham in the Carabao Cup earlier on this season. He played very well in that one. Bailly lost his place in the team a while ago, obviously with the signing of Varane last summer, and for some reason Lindelof's been preferred to Eric Bailly. I don't know why, because Bailly is a far superior centre-half to Lindelof. The only element of concern about Bailly is injury prone. Last season, Bailly signed a new contract with Man United till 2024. There's an option of a further year. Bailly's been at Manchester United for 5.5 years now. Man United paid around £30 million for him from Villarreal back in 2016. Jones, I think he's also going next year. You know, Jones doesn't get in the team, does he? And Jones has always been inconsistent, I would say. Did you know Jones is the only outfield player that's still with us from the Ferguson era? You know, this season is his 11th season at Man United, so he's been a long-serving player. At one point, Jones was out with a knee injury for a while. Tellez, he could be leaving next year because Tellez doesn't really get in the team. Tellez has only been playing recently because Luke Shaw's been out with a concussion. Tellez, though, has done well in his last 2 games he's played. He did well against Chelsea, and he also did well in the 2-0 win against Villarreal. Earlier on this season, Tellez was out with injury. The reason we brought Tellez in was to provide competition for Luke Shaw. But then obviously when we brought Tellez in, we seemed to get the best out of Luke Shaw. But actually Luke Shaw's been very poor this season. Man United got Tellez for around 15.4 million. That was add-ons included. Matic, I think he's leaving next year as well. Matic isn't one of our first choice midfielders, but despite that, he still seems to get his opportunities. You know, Matic played against Chelsea last Sunday. He was playing alongside Fred and McTominay. Surprisingly enough, Matic is ahead of Van der Beek in our midfield. I think Matic is the only predominant centre defensive mid we've got. I've always had my reservations about him though, because he's always been a static midfielder in his age, but despite that he has had his good games at United. Matic has been at Man United for 4.5 years now. Man United got him for 40 million from Chelsea back in 2017. Paul Pogba, he could be leaving next year as well. Pogba's not available at the moment. He's out with a thigh injury. I think Pogba is out for the rest of the year. Pogba got the thigh injury in France training earlier on this season. He's a big miss for Man United, is Pogba, because he is a good player. Not only a good player, he's an imperative player as well. Donny van der Beek, there's a good chance that he will be leaving in January, unless Van der Beek gets his opportunities under Ralf Rangnick. Revert back to when we had Solskjaer, Van der Beek didn't get enough opportunities, and reflecting on that, Van der Beek was very frustrated. Van der Beek didn't start against Chelsea last Sunday, but he did come on. He did start in that number 10 ahead of Fernandes against Villarreal the other week, and he put a very good performance out. Van der Beek came on in the 4-1 defeat to Watford and made an instant impact, because Van der Beek scored in that game. That was only his second goal though for the club. Towards the end of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's managerial tenure though, Van der Beek did confirm that he wants to leave in January. He's been at Manchester United now for over a year and a half. He's enjoyed a difficult time. This season is his second full season at the club. We got Van der Beek for 40 million with add-ons included. Van der Beek's got a contract with Man United till 2025. There's an option of a further year, and he's versatile. He can play in 3 different roles. Lingard, I think he's also leaving next year. Revert back to the other week, it said Jesse Lingard's future at Man United is in doubt after talks over a new contract collapsed. Lingard's contract at Man United expires next summer. Not so long ago it said Lingard could leave Man United for just £10 million. Lingard doesn't really get in the team. He's only made one start this season. That was against West Ham in the Carabao Cup. West Ham want to re-sign Lingard. Well, last season he enjoyed a 4-month loan spell with West Ham and he made an impact. And I heard as well that Lingard wants to go abroad. But Lingard has been part of Manchester United for a long time. He risen up our academy now. He's had his good periods at Man United. He's also had his bad periods as well. Juan Mata, I think he's also leaving next year. Mata's contract at Man United expires next summer because revert back to earlier on this year, Mata signed that 1-year contract extension. I can't understand why we extended his contracts for the third year because Mata doesn't get in the team. Plus he's aging up and he's lost that yard of pace. But I think he's a good player, Mata. I think he has had a good career at Man United. He's made over 200 appearances for the club in all competitions and he's scored over 50 goals. And Matt has been a long servant at Man United. He's been with us for 7.5 years. We got Matt from Chelsea back in 2014, got him for 40 million. And revert back to the first part of last season, Matt rejected an 18 million a year contract offer to play in Saudi Arabia. Martial and Edison Cavani, I think they're also leaving the club next year. So there you go. But you know what? Manchester United have got very, very good players. And hopefully, under Ralf Rangnick, we're going to get the best out of these group of players. Because revert back to when we had Solskjaer, we weren't really getting the best out of these group of players, was we? We've got to start playing as a team. Because obviously we have been a team of individuals. Look who we've got though. You've got the best player in the world overall in Cristiano Ronaldo. Ronaldo's done really well since he's re-signed. Ronaldo's scored 10 goals in all competitions so far and he's provided 2 assists. Surprisingly though, Ronaldo didn't start against Chelsea last Sunday. He started on the bench but he did come on in the game. It was obviously Rashford alongside Sancho up top against Chelsea. Ronaldo will start tomorrow night against Arsenal. I can't see him starting on the bench for the second game in a row. And you've got Mason Greenwood, that's also a talented player as well. He hasn't been available in recent weeks because he's been out with COVID. I think he's now recovered from COVID. And you've got Jadon Sancho, that's also a good player as well. We're starting to get the best out of Jadon Sancho now. He's scored in his last 2 games. He scored against Chelsea. That goal against Chelsea came from a mistake from Jorginho. And he scored in the 2-0 win against Villarreal. Revert back to when we had Solskjaer, we weren't getting the best out of Sancho because, Solskjaer was playing him out of position. There was quite a few games Sancho didn't even play in when we had Solskjaer. You've also got Marcus Rashford, that's a good player as well. Rashford was poor against Chelsea in the first half last Sunday, but I thought he was very, very good in the second half. And he made an impact when he came on against Villarreal the other week. And I do think Rashford will start tomorrow against Arsenal. Some United fans may disagree. You've also got Edison Cavani, that's a good player as well, but he initially lost his place in the team with the club re-signing Ronaldo last summer. Cavani's out with injury at the moment anyway. He was out with injury earlier on this season. And you've got Bruno Fernandes, that's also a very, very good player as well. He's one of the best signings we've made since Fergie retired. Fernandes has had poor games this season. Fernandes did play against Chelsea last Sunday. I thought defensively he was good, but he lacks that attacking intent. Fernandes made an impact when he came on against Villarreal the other week because he got an assist. And you've got Donny van der Beek, that's also a good player as well. Haven't had a great deal of a perception on him though, because he's played nowhere near as much as I expected. I don't want Van der Beek to leave next year. But if he continues starting on the bench for nearly every game, then obviously he's going to want to leave, innit? And we've also got Paul Pogba, that's a good player as well. You've got Luke Shaw, that's a good left back, but he's certainly not proven how good he can be this season. Luke Shaw's been dreadful this season. Luke Shaw was far superior last season to how he has been so far this season. He's had a few injuries this season, and he is injury prone, is Shaw, which is a concern. But despite that, I think he has had a good career at Man United. I'm sure at some point this season, Luke Shaw will regain his form. You've got Tellez, that's a decent left back, like I mentioned earlier, done well in his last 2 games. Obviously, if Shaw's not available for Arsenal tomorrow, then Tellez will play again. You've got Raphael Varane, that's a good centre-half as well, but Varane's not available at the moment. He's out with a hamstring injuries, Varane. I think he's out for another couple of weeks. Second injury he's endured is a United player, because revert back to earlier on in the season, Varane was out with a groin injury. But done well in some of the games he played in before he got these injuries. He's had a couple of games where he's looked off the pace. You've got Eric Bailly, that's a good centre-half as well. You've got Wan-Bissaka, that's good defensively, but the attacking side of his game is poor. I thought Bissaka was poor against Chelsea last Sunday. His positioning was poor. And obviously, he was the one that conceded the penalty because he fouled Thiago Silva in the box, did Bissaka. And obviously, we've got David De Gea. That's a very, very good goalkeeper as well. De Gea's done really well this season, to his credit. Made up for them mistakes he made in the last couple of years prior to this season. De Gea did well against Chelsea last Sunday in the first half. He made some very good saves to deny Callum Hudson-Odoi, Rudiger and Ziyech. He also made some world-class saves in the game against Villarreal the other week. So there you go. So anyway guys, that's everything to update you today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.